So hopefully you guys have all seen the Endgame toy box, the massive toy box that all us creators have got together. Now in this clip I'm going to focus on the Leviathan, that giant thing there on the right that we're using in our film for my toy box. I'm just going to go through how I put it together and what design constraints we had with it. So let's just see how this thing looks, because theoretically it's a backdrop prop for this level. So I want to go through and show what I built, and then how I came to the idea of what we're doing, just so we could have that, set the scene that you were in New York in 2012. So if we just look at the Leviathan on its own, so I've created this little level here just on the Leviathan, because when I created this toy box, that's what I had to do. I had to create the monster first, because I didn't know how big it was, how it was going to work, and then test it before I go through. So as you can see, I've broken the Leviathan in sections, and it's been broken in sections so it can rotate. So it's not one version. So there are 5 paths to this. There's the head, the middle torso, the lower body, the end, and the tail. So they're all different sections, so it can twist and turn as it goes through. Now, I tried playing around with this, and obviously it wasn't part of the gameplay. So when we're creating the monster is just part of what you're doing. The gameplay was what you do. So I wanted it to go side to side. So you'll see here, just as a test model, all the mechanics of the model work. So the way it moves from side to side, which really shows that gave the impression of the Leviathan for me. I think I cracked it there. When I saw I could do that, I think, yep, that's what I've done. I wanted to make sure it was big enough so it looked menacing, so with the teeth and everything. So when you've got it zooming over your head, those teeth wanted to look like teeth. And that was the tricky part as well. They've got to look like teeth, they do. And I think it's because the front teeth look like teeth, they do look like the side. Now let's bring up the elephant in the room, which is the red. The red texture. See, it's got a type of scale to it, which is why it works. I don't have anything. Everything was too glossy, too shiny. It didn't look like a monster, so it had to be red to use it, give you that little texture to it. So I was a little bit disappointed with that, because I wanted to look like the Endgame. The gold colour was just too bright. So I think it works well with the red. I think it does look good, but it's broken up in sections. So let me show you how those sections work. So you'll see here I can get the Leviathan to jump to different paths. It doesn't do it because there's so many pieces, it doesn't do it. You can see here how they're all constructed different pieces, but I'll separate them into 5 separate paths. Okay, and on this way here you'll see then we can have a little close up and look at each section. So let's look at the head. Now, I think I'm going to do a new version of the head. So the head is quite large on the Leviathan, so the big thing was get the teeth right, get the nose, and that's like a half dome. Multiple domes scattered through to give it like that bumper effect. But I will probably reduce the head down. You see how all I've done is I've connected these pieces, coloured the pieces in, and then kept connecting to a path. So there's one path in there, and I've just repositioned them around either side. But I think I'd probably get with those triangle bits stick out. I'd probably get rid of those. Then this is the key part. This is the bit when I knew it could work. Once I worked out that I could do the wings without actually, because basically I could build that without actually linked to a path. So I thought actually they can work. So once I realised I could do the torso section, then the only question I had was the head. So I was playing around with shapes, going how do I make it work? And I go, okay, I've got the body, I've got the 2 little small tails and the tail. Right, so the biggest challenge was the head. And then it was just the time to try and connect them all together. It's just painful, slowly moving across as I build them. But I had them all on separate individual paths, and then you have to then join them all together, which is the right pain. So when they are joined together, they look like this, and they go okay. Now, as you can see, they're all moving across quite nicely. Yeah, and they all join, and that gives you that link. But once I knew that worked, it was like, yeah, okay, that's the key part. Now that was the problem with the design. This was just taking so long to do. So while we were creating this as a group, so all these creators said, right, we'll put into levels again. What basically happened in this process is that everybody smashed it out of the park table. They went, look, this is my level, boom, boom, boom. And within a week, everyone had like a first draft of their level and how it was going to look, and they were all discussing it. And I'm going like, I haven't got anything. I've only got a flying Leviathan that theoretically is only in the film for a few seconds. It's only in those little snapshots that you see at the background just to let you know New York. I'm going, I spent all my time doing this. I don't actually have a level. So I showed them the Leviathan, which they were all quite pleased with, but this was it. This is all I had. And they'd all had their first draft, so I started to panic a little bit, going, I got a lot to get together. Because as you saw how I jumped those around, it's not easy moving the Leviathan from different places to decide where it goes. So that was keep up. Got the Leviathan working, now you got to jump on and do the other sections. So once I worked out how I was doing the portal, and there'll be a clip on how I created the portal, and I got the map layout, I said, right, now I would like the Leviathan to fly out from there like you do with the spaceships. But instead, that's not the impact you get. You'll see the Leviathan's already flown down, and it's already just hovering above the ground, as you can see there. So you'll see there, it comes across, it's flying already through the ground. So you've already missed the object flying through, which is like a bit disappointing. And a couple of the credits, why can't you have it fly through? I'm going to show you why. Although it's a cool effect and it looks good, when you've got objects on a path, they act differently when you actually move them down. So let me just show you what happens when you put the object on a downward trajectory. So I want it to fly out from the portal, fly out there like a big flying Leviathan like you see. But when you bring the items down, they do this. I was like, no! It looks nothing like Leviathan, it's all in bits, it doesn't work. It's like, it totally breaks it. It's like, well, the whole plan in my head was it was going to fly down and then rise up, going up and down. It doesn't do it. I can do side to side, no problems, but down, look at it just goes all horrible. No. And by the way, you have to test this and build this. This all takes time. It was just an absolute flipping nightmare. So I was going, I've got this Leviathan, what can I do with it? I can only stuck one level. And then when I want it to crash down, it's got to be on another level. That was another thing. Like, oh, you're kidding me. So it's like, so what do I need to do? How do I use it? So I decided here, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it crash in the plaza. Right, so I'm going to have it crash through here, in the garden, massive park, and smash it all up. But then I realised that the Leviathan needs to be lower to its ground level, so I'm going to need to move it down. And I was like, I can't do that. What am I going to do with that? So I was thinking, how do I get it to move down without the player realising that was happening? So I came up with this idea. So the idea of it crashing through the building was so to hide the Leviathan. So behind the scenes, I then had a slow slope. So the Leviathan just crashed through the building, but behind the scenes, the Leviathan is now on a downward trajectory to lower itself. It doesn't have to go far, so you don't see it. You can see they're slightly tilted, not much, but just enough behind the scenes. But the player's too busy playing to notice that in the background. So that's happening behind the scenes because you're still doing your job. You haven't got to climb up. By the time you get up there, you hardly notice it. So although it slightly distorts the Leviathan here because I'm slowly leveling it out. So you'll see here, I level it out and I twist it round. And also the head doesn't work too well, so I'm going to twist it round. And now I've brought it down to the right level. Now it can come crashing out. So instead of flying up, which the effect would be so cool, and I bet you Disney Infinity 4.0 would have probably had something like that. They'd have resolved that issue. But now I can have it crashing through on the screen. So, yeah, I do like the fact that you can create your own objects, but it can only go side to side and stay on the same path, which is a little bit infuriating. But I thought I made the most of the Leviathan. I thought I got, for what it was, I got it for what I got as much out of it as much as possible, which I'm quite pleased with. I'm quite happy the end result anyway, where it came from. One other thing just to point out as well, the Leviathan, you can't jump it to different paths like you can do with a normal object. You know when you can jump from one path to another. So you know when you see the spaceships coming at you, they explode and restart. You can't do that with this because there are too many parts in the Leviathan. And as I showed you earlier when I did that, when you add them to another path and it jumps across, you have to reset them. Otherwise what happens is, because they jump in stages, you get like a staggered effect on the parts. So if you want to use the Leviathan, it's basically got to stick on that path all the way. You can't say, well, once you go through the wall, jump to the other side of the building. And by the way, I tried to time it and then do a reset, but again, it was just, there's too much going off. So if you don't do it like this is the outcome that you get. And you go along and you go, right, okay, so look at it, and it will then distort the Leviathan, it messes it up, and you think, ugh. So you can't do that. So you really got to stick to the path that you want it to be with. And it's like, oh, so infuriating, but it's part and parcel that come with game development as you test it. Right, so there you go, guys. That is my Leviathan. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Did you like the layout, the design of it? I've got a few ideas to modify this a little bit further. So you may see a Leviathan version 2 maybe for Halloween. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do another Back to the Future level, which I promised years ago, but I'm finally getting there. But you'll notice you've had quite a few number of clips of me this year already. But I've even started working on my May the 4th next year clip, which I'm hoping is going to work out. Give myself plenty of time so I'm not going to be stressed out. I may also get, what's another thing, I may also get Ahsoka to do one of the reviews of the entire toy box. The biggest problem now, when she's so popular, trying to tie her down, it's always an issue. Well, look guys, put your comments in, I'll try and reply to everybody there. Also, if you haven't done so already, check out all the other guys, all the other creators on this project. They'll discuss what they made and why they made their choices. So I believe they're going to put a little clip out reviewing their bits and pieces. And I'll get you the next clip, which is regarding to the actual portal. Take care, speak to you all soon guys, catch you later, bye.